I really enjoyed the movie. I thought you were great in it. I just, it just left me. I had a really busy day yesterday, and I stuck it on in the evening. It just put a big smile on my face. So thank you for that.
Oh, good. That's what we want.
I'm going to begin by asking, what was it about this character, about this project that enticed you in and attracted you to getting involved?
Well, I mean, my agent gave me the call and said, you've got an audition for this film. I thought, great. And it was initially the role I was going for was for a girl on a hen do in Rill. And so rocked up to the audition in Manchester. And I did a couple of improvisations, read the lines. And I just remember them all looking at each other and were like, could you just give us a minute? I was like, okay, yeah, sure. So I went out and, paranoia seeps in and I start thinking, what did I do wrong? And then Melanie, the casting director, comes out and goes, we'd like you to audition for the lead, which I was like utterly shocked at, because this, you hear about this in films, but you never hear about it, it's all very La La Land. I was thinking, right, okay, so found a coffee shop, inhaled the script for 90 minutes and went back in and read for Janet, and then had recall the week after, and then within 5 days I was in a costume fitting in Rill, so it was all a bit bonkers, but yeah, it was. And then got to go on this wonderful journey of Janet's self-discovery, which was lovely.
Yeah, that's a great story, because usually, you go in for a part, you either get it or you don't. But you never hear of what happened there. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was incredible. Honestly, I still don't think it's real. I'm dreaming.
Because it's funny because obviously, this is a comedy and there are some really sort of laugh out loud moments in this, and it is quite silly at times, but there's a lot of human elements, aren't there, to attach to? I guess as an actress sort of connecting to the role, it must have been quite an easy role to connect with, just in the sense that she's been written as a real human being with flaws and emotions and stuff, because I guess sometimes in comedies there can be a habit of somehow just having kind of silly creations that don't quite have the kind of depth and nuance. But this role of Janet, she had a lot going on.
Yeah, absolutely, and a real emotional arc for her as well. You get to see her at the beginning, and she's so shy and she's so awkward, and kind of been living in Diana's shadow for her whole life, and just not very comfortable within herself. And I think a lot of people go through that, and the older you get, the more you realize it's just like, well, I'm just happy to be me. And I just think it's so nice to get to play this character that gets to really figure out who she is and not be influenced by other people all the time. But yeah, it was really lovely to play. And obviously, because with it being a 3-week shoot, it was so intense. You sort of essentially living this character's life for the 3 weeks you're there. And she's just so lovely. I just want to give her a hug.
Yeah, no, that's the thing, is that the likability of the character just shone through. Because sometimes when you ask an actor, like when they play a villain, do you think you could, do you have to like the character to play them? But I guess in this instance, it's one of the easiest things ever, just to fall in love with the character of Janet.
Yeah. Sweetheart, isn't she? I just think you just sit there going, what are you doing? Don't do that.
The character, I mean, she's quite self-conscious, and at times she's a little afraid of showing her true self, both in emotion and physically in front of others. By virtue of the character kind of coming out of her shell, be it singing on stage, be it wearing a swimming costume, you had to do those things yourself as Katy. Did you kind of learn from her and kind of get more confidence from doing it, in a sense that, well, if Janet can do it, so can I type attitude?
Yeah, absolutely. And I really hope that people watching that get that as well. I just think, that there's so many pressures in life anyway, and add social media into the mix and all that jazz. And I just think, it's, and especially after the past year, I think we've had such a difficult time, and I just think people have had a lot of struggles to overcome. And I just think, I hope that people watch what Janet went through and hopefully have their sort of metamorphosis moment as well.
Have you got used yet to sort of seeing yourself on screen? I'd literally just got off an interview now of an actor called James D'Arcy, and he's been doing this for I don't know, 30 years, and he still says he can't watch himself on screen. I mean, have you I mean, I know there may not have been kind of cast and crew screenings like there would have been traditionally, but have you seen it on the big screen, and what's it like, if so?
I've literally only seen the trailer, and I got to see a few sneaky peeks at some other bits when I got to do some ADR for the film.
Quite good. You should watch it sometime.
Well, I'm hoping I'll get to see it in a couple of weeks. But yeah, I mean, the bits I've seen, I do just have to watch it through my fingers, because I'm just like, oh no, I can't watch. I just think it's really odd, because you are playing a character, so you know it's not you, but at the same time, I don't think anyone really, I don't know many actors that like watching themselves back, unless it's for critique purposes, which, I mean, I think we do enough of anyway. I think we're all very good at picking out our faults, aren't we?
And that's because obviously the character Chester perform on stage in the show. I was just wondering, in the film, sorry, if you were at a talent show, what do you reckon would be what would you do on stage if you had to?
Oh, 100%, I'd be singing. You normally find me singing all the time. So yeah, what would I sing though? That'd be the question. Probably some kind of like big Adele ballad. I think that'd be fun. Or something musical theatre, because I'm obsessed. So yeah.
So did you have quite a musical upbringing? I can tell obviously from behind you. You said you're in a studio. I'm suggesting your family sort of got music in their blood. Yeah. Is it something it's just being creative and being kind of sort of entertaining or being on stage? Is it something you've just wanted to do from a really young age?
Yeah, I've always wanted to perform, and I was very lucky. My mum did ballroom and Latin dancing for 9 years when she was younger. My dad has always played the guitar, and he worked in radio for 40 odd years. And both my brothers, like my eldest plays the bass, my middle brother plays the guitar. I attempted to play the piano. I don't think I was strict enough with myself on my practice, but I've always sang, always danced, and we've just always been a very, very musical family, really. And yeah, I mean, always having a bit of a jam on a Saturday night, and I just loved it, and that was our upbringing. And then obviously as a kid, I did quite a bit of TV work as well, which was great, and I absolutely loved. And yeah, just always wanted to do this. I couldn't think of doing anything else.
You sound like you should have a family band, a bit like the Von Trapps, in the sound.
Yes. Yeah. Von Trapps and Bolton, I love it.
Yeah. But I was obviously mentioning the idea of a talent show. It just got me thinking about the word talent, because you sort of mentioned you're from Bolton, and I still watch. I know it's not quite Bolton, but it's sort of, I'm just generalising the north now. Sorry, but like Coronation Street being obviously Manchester, it's kind of in the same neck of the woods, and I've always been taken aback by how brilliant the talent from that part of England is, particularly in the young people. I always find the younger actors and performers on things like Corries are so brilliant, and obviously you've got programs like Shameless as well. I just wondered if you get a sense of that in the kind of communities, and why you think there is such a great kind of talent pool from that part of England.
Well, I mean, I just think, Northerners are great, but it's wonderful, because in between acting jobs, I teach, and so I'm teaching at the moment, and you're right, there is just some incredibly talented kids out there, and I just think the only it's a shame. Obviously, things are getting better, but things do always seem to be quite London based, quite like southern heavy. But more and more things are starting to come up north, and there's some brilliant schools up north for people to go to. But again, it's if you've got that opportunity and if you can afford to do so. And I just hope that it does become more accessible, A, up north, and B, financially for people, because you don't really want it turning into a sort of elitist business. I think it already is quite a lot anyway. But yeah, definitely you need more opportunities in general, really. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's something in the water for creating all this talent.
Yeah, I was wondering too, because obviously in the film there's a holiday. You guys, you yourself and Di go on a little holiday. And it reminds me because I used to go to Pontins when I was a kid, which was like a kind of similar to Butlins down in Camber Sands. Did you have many kind of holidays quite like that, or did it sort of were there any holidays from your kind of childhood that you remembered while you were shooting this?
Oh yeah, well, I mean, we used to go to Rhyl all the time because my grandparents lived between Rhyl and Rutland, so we'd often go for like a little weekend away to go and see my grandparents, and yeah, and when I was younger, we'd go on holidays, and I would insist on doing any talent show that was there. I remember I must have been. I was very young, and I remember insisting on singing Lady Marmalade in in a talent show, obviously having no clue that it was totally inappropriate for someone of that age. And I think that I ended up singing Reach for the Stars instead, which is a bit more apt for that age group. But yeah, anything when I was younger of getting, I mean, obviously Janet would not be the first person to put herself up for a talent show. Katy, however, when she was younger, was definitely at the front of the queue. I would have done anything. I would have stood there and attempted to juggle. I wouldn't have cared. Just that thought of like, yes, I'll be in front of an audience. Why not? My mum tells this incredibly embarrassing story all the time, which I'm going to tell you. Apparently, when we were on holiday years ago, I stood at the top of this staircase, lifted out my skirt and went, "Ladies and gentlemen." And I think I was only about 2 or 3, and she was like, "It was that moment we knew you were going to be a performer." I was like, great. She'll tell anyone. We'll be in a supermarket, we'll be anywhere. She's very proud, bless her.
Yeah, it just reminds me, I can go one better than Lady Marmalade. I sung the Thong Song at Ponty.
No.
I did it in the afternoon shift when the only people watching were, there's about 8 or 9 women in their 80s, just, and some of them were sewing, and they've all sat there just on their holiday, and I just stood up in front of them, sort of as a nice easy crowd, and performed the Thong Song. So,
No, brilliant, excellent.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, when you're young, you don't have a clue. It's like the Spice Girls were like my absolute idols, and when you actually break down the lyrics of Two Become One, when you go, oh, I used to sing that really loudly when I was about 6.
Yeah. I only realised that quite recently as well with that song. But I was obviously as is in the title, Di is a big part in this, and Lucy turns in a great performance. But what was she like to collaborate with on this? Because you have a tumultuous relationship, I guess, on screen. But there's a lot of love there. I just wondered how you guys got on in real life.
Oh, she's awesome. I met her at the recall, and we instantly just got on straight away, which thank goodness, of course. But what was really lovely was when we were filming, we stayed like on the caravan site, and me and Lucy shared a caravan, which was great because obviously you've got to build this friendship of X amount of years. And we just hit it off straight away, just got on so well. She's an absolute superstar. And like I said, she plays an excellent role in this. And I just think, she's just ace. And she was so good to work opposite as well. I think we bounced off each other really, really well.
Yeah. But I was wondering too, just you sort of mentioning before about you've sort of been doing this a long time, and has been a performer a long time, but has that moment or that kind of penny dropped yet, that this is what you do for a career? Because I've got, my cousin does stage work and stuff in Glasgow, and he's at drama school, and he's had a couple of small things like the BBC, and if I said to him, what do you do, he almost doesn't say actor, because it's not like a job like, let's say you want to be a doctor, you study medicine, you get a certificate that says you're a doctor, and then you're a doctor. But with acting, I guess there's all those years, aren't there, of kind of wondering, doing job, might be working in a bar to try and make the money to pay rent and all these things. I think there's this reluctance to say, this is what I do, this is what I am. But you're the leading role in a movie now, so do you feel now that this is what you do? Is this what, have you had that moment of realization that you are an actor, that's your job?
Yeah, definitely. Like I'll always say, I am an actor, but it's just like, it's like you said, all the stuff that you do in between times, and sometimes when obviously I've been doing a lot of temp work over this past year because of the COVID situation. And you're right, you are sort of reluctant to say you're an actor, because it's just all of a sudden you're met with a series of questions of like, who've you worked with? I've got, how much do you get paid? Quite a lot, which I just think is a very personal question. But yeah, no, I mean, I am an actor, and I have always performed, and it's just, it's a tough industry. I think, you will hear no the vast majority of the time. But, and would I say I've got used to rejection? I don't think anyone gets used to rejection. I just think you get better at dealing with it. But yeah, and the thing is, you sift through all the no's till you get that yes, and just that you cherish it and grab it with both arms and think, yes, I'm performing, and that fire gets to ignite again, which is just wonderful.
Well, this was a great yes to find, I think, this movie.
Oh, absolutely.
So my final question really is just what's kind of next? Have you got much? I know obviously COVID has thrown a lot of plans up into the air over the last 12 months, but are you working on anything at the moment? Have you got anything in the pipeline?
Nothing in the pipeline at the moment. But yeah, I'm just so excited that the theatres are starting to reopen. I've got quite a few friends that are working on stuff at the moment, so I'm just so happy for them that the industry is starting to come back. And yeah, just really excited for what the future holds. So bring it on, I'm ready.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for your time, I really enjoyed the movie. I liked every scene apart from there's a moment, I don't know if I've got a phobia, of cold baked beans or baked bean juice, but you're pushing a bit of bread around a plate. That's the only scene that I was like, I had to do that. I just couldn't deal with that scene. Everything else I really enjoyed.
I'm sorry about that bit.
But just, at the beginning it says, if you've got epilepsy, there's strobe light, and they need to put a thing that says, if you've got the baked bean phobia, there is a scene with baked bean juice, I think.
I'll get the producers on the phone later. I'll let them know.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure speaking to you, and best of luck with the release. And I'm sure I'll see you again in something soon, and maybe we can do an interview like this in person. Who knows, by that time comes around.
Wouldn't that be lovely? Well, thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys.
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey